Hi guys, I know I said I'd make more later, but you know when you're in that groove and you're just like, I've got to pound out some videos before I get lazy. That's the kind of mood I'm in. Right, so, last time in episode 3 I believe, we jumped over to the Shadowrun campaign, had a look, see what was going on, the difference between Shadowrun and D&D. So, we're going to do the same with this system here. It's not an official system. My friend homebrewed it. So, it may have some holes in it where you can dabble with and stuff like that. But I think homebrews are a lot more fun, gets the DM a lot more invested. Kind of actually, depending on the DM, it kind of shows their playstyle. The DM I had, he was focused on role playing, he loved role playing and all that. So then we ended up having a system with not much combat, and if it was combat, it was over quickly, and it was painless, unlike the long drawn out process of Shadowrun combat, which is a bit hard to get your head around sometimes. But yeah, you could also make any skills you wanted to, any rules. But the main thing about homebrew, once you've set a rule, you have to stick to it. You can't bounce around or anything. Once you've made a rule, you have to stick to it. So, I guess let's jump straight in then, shall we? Right, guys. I know it may look like chaos right now, but this is how we left it. The campaign actually didn't get finished because the GM had some personal stuff, so he couldn't do it anymore. So here I get to do what I want. Really, he hasn't disbanded the campaign, so it's just left blank here. Yep, that's the snail getting high all the time. Right, okay. With a homebrew, this is my character. His name was Baxter. He was a genie, and he could do some awesome things in combat. He could get punched through, not get hit. But his downside was he had a ring. It was extremely weak, and if it got hit once, he'd most likely die. So that was the downside of him being impenetrable everywhere else. He had this one little niche where if it was hit, he could be insta-killed. So I'll just zoom in so we can have a look. Oh, that's a bit too far zoomed in. Zoom a bit back out, shall we? Come down, character sheet, from where you may lay. Yeah, I think I might have just broken it. So let's just reload the page. Trust me to break things. Right, okay. So, showed you his level. Which is level 3. Name. Age. Yes, he was a genie, so he was 1,000. As old as I really wanted him, but I thought 1,000 would be an appropriate time span. His class. His nature. His ring, which, as I mentioned, is the only thing that could kill him, or is his weak spot basically. What he was good at. His height, his strength, his dex, his endurance, intelligence, wisdom, discipline. So it's all kind of the same. You find with most systems, they always have the strength, dex, endurance, intelligence, wisdom kind of basis. So you when you go into some systems, you roughly know which one, what strength is for, what endurance is for, or vigor, I think in some of them it's called. You know what they're for, you know what intelligence is for. Depending on the system, depends on what will is, because on the Shadowrun one you have int as well, intuition and will, and intelligence. So with that one you have to read into them a bit and find out which one you exactly want. But with a homebrew system, you can stick to the basics and have an awesome campaign. This character creation took us about an hour. We had everything set up ready, so we literally came in, he told us what we had to do, and it was done in an hour, and we were ready to play, which is really, really good. Like, you go in, takes an hour to play, and you have 3 more hours of that one session just to play and get introduced to characters, where normally you'd spend the full 4 hours making your character with everyone. And that's just some backstory plots there. I put them down so I would know, and the GM asked because he wasn't too sure. He wanted some names, so I wrote them down on the bottom of my little thing. Because it's a homebrew, there is no character sheet, so we had to make our own like layout and stuff. I think each character's layout was set out a bit differently. This is someone else's. He set it out like that. Which with homebrews, it's totally up to the player how they set it out. There's no wrong or right about it with a homebrew. It's hard with a homebrew to set anything up, really, because homebrew it's your setting, your rules, you make up the law, you say what's right and what's wrong. It's hard to define, but as soon as you define your rule set, and as soon as you stick to that rule set, your players will know and you will know. But it's best to make your rules offside, like when the players aren't there, get them set in stone. And then when you come to the players, come with a set of rules that you know you're not going to change on them. They are the rules, them set of rules. I know as you go along, you'll find like kinks, like you'll find like holes in the rules you have made. So you can just easily like patch them up with a new rule and stuff like that. And you won't even think of some rules until they come up sometimes, or you won't think of some law until it comes up. It's really hard with a homebrew. You don't know until someone goes along prodding at every single hole that you don't know they're there. Sometimes I find when I'm making a character backstory, it's kind of similar, because you don't really have nothing to go for. You just make it up, and I've had DMs go poke, and poke holes all in my backstory, and I find that really good because I couldn't see them holes, and they just made my story a lot better by telling me those holes were there. For me, I like, it's not all DM. Like, you have to get your players to be enthused as much as the DM is enthused. Like, I normally love my characters to pieces because I make their backstory somewhat believable, somewhat relatable. I actually put a part of my personality into each character I play, so that I know, like, I can actually connect to the character, and that makes for a lot of a deeper roleplay experience, because you can actually get into the character's head because you put some of your qualities into them, so you kind of have like a gateway to go in, which is really, really good. But we can make a separate episode for characters, like how to RP, because I know for some people how to RP is kind of new because they like the Smash and Clash games, and they've stumbled onto this RP one, and they're quite interested in an RP heavy campaign and not a Smash and Clash campaign heavy one. To be honest, I've never really been in a Smash and Clash campaign, really. For me, it's RP heavy and kind of developing my character. I know some Smash and Clash games or RP ones, they're a bit, they do have aspects of RP, but I find that you don't get as much character development. That's my thing. I make these characters, I love my characters, so I want to see them like move on and expand and like find out the world. But if I make one for a Smash and Clash game, I can't get too connected with it because I might die in the first session. So That's the thing with Smash and Clash. I know you're meant to do a lot of damage. You're a lot of meat. Like, you're there for the combat, not for the roleplay aspect. I'm not saying like Smash and Clash is bad. Some people prefer that, and it's good on them. But I find RP a lot better. Right, I'm going on to a totally different subject now. Let's get back to homebrews. That's what I was talking about for a different episode, guys. Right. So we were using a D6 system, if I believe. Yeah, D6 system. So whatever points you had in your skills and so on, you would roll that in dice, basically. You could get. I find most homebrews are normally a 3d6 system where you roll 3d6s and then get your score from that. I know there's a d20 system out there. With homebrews, it's a lot of shades of grey. What you choose, it's a lot of shades of grey. It does take time to do a homebrew. It's not like a D&D 5e campaign where you have the rule sets and you know the damage dices and you know what to roll. With a homebrew, you have to make that. You have to make your damage dices. You're going to have to figure out what dice you want to use. You're going to have to figure out races, if them races have any buffs. So homebrew, there's a lot more too. Like, I commend people who do a homebrew. Like, good on you. You can do it. I don't think I can. I like to stick to a rule set. Not saying homebrews are bad. You know, homebrews I have a lot of respect for. A lot of respect for. Just, I can't do them. But other side to homebrews is it's going to be difficult. It's going to take a lot of time. Like I said, it's not something you can whip up in an hour and go, yes, homebrews. No. I've seen someone take the person who made this one. He took about, was it 3 years to make it? It's a nurturing process. Like he'd make a bit, go away, and then come back and have a look at what he did, and then he could see the holes that he couldn't see before, and he kept on doing that for 3 years, and you made a pretty decent homebrew. But if you can make a homebrew that withstands bullets and doesn't have any holes in, good on you. That's a skill I could probably never do. I like doing rule set ones where there's rule sets and sometimes the GM's feeling cheeky enough just to divert from that rule just for that second in time. That's the kind of one I like, is where there's rules and the GM can decide to either to obey or disobey them rules. But the main thing about GMing, it's not whether, and I know like the world will be like your baby, like that's your baby, yeah. But the main thing about GMing, it's the player's enjoyment. You have to make sure the players are enjoying it, or you're not doing your job right. Whether it's a homebrew and you've made your rules too hard set, or you are following a rule book and you're not deviating from any rules. If that is making your players unhappy, mix it up. Maybe deviate from a rule now and then. It's about the players' enjoyment. And watching the players have a fat smile on their face will most likely make you have a smile. It doesn't have to be one-sided enjoyment. You could be that evil dictator who sticks to the rules and says no to this, no to that, which is not bad. That's DM style. And you will find your DM style as you DM. No one can teach you a DM style. You have your own, and you can normally be put into like categories. You can put into like the ones who like always stick to the rules, or the ones who just like to fly free and don't have a session plan and just go off the wall and stuff like that. Or you can be, I'm pretty sure there's a neutral one where you're not too hard set on rules, but you have a plan, and you know where you're going, and you have rough directions, but you're lenient to diversions. Like, if someone wants to go somewhere completely off the board, you can do that. Or if a person comes out of surprise with a rule that you haven't thought of or that isn't in the book, you can adapt to that situation. Well, I think you've heard enough of my rambling now. So I mean, I could talk about this for hours, literally. I'm gonna make next episode 5. I'm gonna do it on. I'm gonna do it on player, like what makes a good player, you know, like how a player can also help an RPG, because it's alright to build an RPG like with your background, your characters, and all stuff like that. But if your players don't know how to play, or how to role play, or how to do combat, I mean, it totally depends on what you're doing, but I'm going to do it on what I want to build, and hopefully you want to build with me, is a roleplay heavy one. So I'm going to teach you how to teach your players to make their characters better, and how for them to connect with their characters better. Because I know when creating a character, you get a lot of ums and ahs about how or what they should do. So that's going to be next episode. Here's a warning for you: it might be slightly longer because I can ramble on. If you ever get sick of the rambling, just skip ahead until I don't ramble anymore. Just skip it. But yeah, see you in episode 5, guys, which will probably be in a couple minutes from now. Bye.